Welcome to episode 1 of our podcast,
where we cover the in-depth themes of Indigenous novels. For our novel, we will be talking about The Break. Just kidding. We will be talking about The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. Sherman Alexie is a Spokane Native American author who grew up on the Spokane Indian Reservation. His writing often reflects his personal experiences with poverty, identity, and resilience within indigenous communities. This book tells the story of Arnold Spirit, also known as Junior, a teenage born with health problems living on a reservation who decides to transfer to an all-white school off the reservation to get a better education. This novel follows his journey through grief, racism, friendship, and identity. We chose this book because of its funny storytelling and it always hooks you throughout the book, leaving you wanting to read more. Sherman Alexie is known for his funny and out-of-pocket humor that he uses throughout the book. He uses his humor to cope with his life struggles and laughs his way through emotional pain. He often mocks indigenous stereotypes and makes fun of his own culture by making jokes about drinking and being poor. Most of the time, he uses his drawing skills to convey his humor and thinks that words are too complicated sometimes, but drawings are universal. We find this drawing hobby adds depth to his humor and emotion, and it gives Junior another way of expressing himself.
Junior deals with many different kinds of internal and external conflicts. For example, Junior feels torn between two different cultures. We see this in the book when Junior says, "I was half Indian in one place and half white in the other." This quote means that during his time on the res, he doesn't feel fully accepted, and the same goes for when he's at his mostly all-white school. He doesn't feel understood or welcomed. Many people in the real world feel like this, whether it's within a friend group or whole communities. Feeling unaccepted and like you constantly have to switch between your personalities is a very common sensation for many people. This is true for the indigenous youth who feel like they may have to abandon their native culture in order to fulfill their wishes in life. Feeling like you're constantly stuck in between can be a painful experience, but this story demonstrates Junior's journey to overcome his identity conflict and embracing both parts of himself without letting go of who he is.
Although Junior experiences various themes of external and internal conflict, he pushes through the tough situations he faces. Junior has a deformed face with 10 extra teeth. He was born with an extra brain fluid and he has size 11 feet in the 3rd grade. Being born with all these setbacks, on top of being born as a poor kid on the reservation, you'd think that he'd just give up, but Junior doesn't let this give him reasons to make excuses. As a kid, Junior was bullied badly because of his disabilities, even by his own community. But yet again, Junior faces his problems and doesn't let this get him down. Leaving the res and transferring to an all-white school was one of the most courageous decisions he made, and yet he gets mocked and made fun of at his new school. And to make it worse, he was grieving with the loss of both his sister and grandmother. And you know what Sherman Alexie says about grief.
And now, our guest speaker, Mr. Zakib.
When you feel so helpless and stupid that you think nothing will ever be right again, and your macaroni and cheese tastes like sawdust, and you can't even jerk off because it feels like too much trouble.
Thank you, Zakib.
Thank you. But just as every other time, he shows just how strong he can be. And even through this hard time, he shows up to school, makes friends, and tries hard to make the most of what he can. This makes Junior very strong and resilient in the face of adversity.
Two important quotes that stood out to us are, "I was half Indian in one place and half white in the other." This quote shows Junior reflecting on his decision in transferring from his school on the reservation to Rearden, the mostly white school. This change in environment has made him feel like he doesn't fully belong in either place. On the res, people see him as a traitor for leaving, and at Rearden, he's the only native kid and is treated differently. He feels stuck between two different cultures and is unsure where he truly fits in. This quote connects to themes of internal conflict, identity, and adversity. Junior's experience shows how confusing and painful it can be to feel like you don't fully belong anywhere. This quote stands out because it shows how powerful and painful the feeling of being stuck between two worlds is. This is also one of the main themes of the book. It shows that identity isn't always simple, and the belonging isn't guaranteed just because you come from somewhere.
The next quote is, "We were supposed to kill the Indian to save the child." This was said by Mr. P, who was Junior's geometry teacher in high school. The quote explains how Junior realizes the way his people have been treated in the education system and society overall. He realizes that the world around him, including the schools and opportunities he's exposed to, has often tried to erase his culture and identity in order to force him to fit in. In a simple way of putting it, this quote explains how they must kill the Indian spirit to theoretically save the innocent child. This quote connects to intergenerational trauma, identity, and adversity. He's starting to understand that many indigenous kids like him have grown up in systems that didn't make space for their native culture.
In our opinion, this book is an absolutely exceptional read that we'd highly recommend to anybody who likes a funny yet serious story. This novel does a great job at blending humor and meaning. It offers a perspective on life of a young indigenous boy facing complex challenges. What stands out the most to us is Sherman Alexie's brilliant sense of humor and its balance that makes the novel both entertaining and impactful, leaving a lasting impression on the readers long after they finish the book.